Hello, good afternoon, ladies. This is Erin Harrison with Keeper of the Homestead and my lovely co-host Nancy Campbell from Above Rubies. And we are so very glad you're here to join us today. I hope you can grab yourself a cup of tea.
We better grab ours.
Yes, we shall.
Oh, mucking up your beautiful...
We're having a glorious chai tea today.
Yours for you.
Thank you so very
we
much.
always have Erin's special teas. Chai tea today.
Yes.
Let me just try it.
Oh, it's going to be so lovely.
Wonderful.
Thank you so much.
Very great.
So today we are going to cover the very next verse in Proverbs 31.
Verse 14. She is like the merchant ships. She bringeth her food from afar.
I just love that.
Yes. Well, do you know what my husband says when he's reading this? He'll be reading Proverbs 31. She is like the merchant ships, but he will say, we don't really want our wives to look like the merchant ships, do they? With this great big bottom. He always has these funny little facetious things that he says as he goes through.
He just keeps us on our toes, doesn't he?
He certainly does.
Oh, that's so wonderful. But yeah, and when you look at the scripture and you think about the period of time that it would have been in, we think of this woman, this virtuous woman of the Bible, whose price is far above rubies, and she's like a merchant ship. So what would be like a merchant ship? Like does she get in her car and does she drive to the grocery store, or what was she like back then? What would she have? How could she go far to get her food back then?
Well, of course, sometimes if you want to get something really good, you've got to go further to get it. And really, that is the picture of the merchant ships, isn't it? They would send, back in those days, they would go out in the ships and they would bring home all the amazing goods and spices
and
from all
tapestries.
Different countries. Yes, it was very, very exciting when the merchant ship came in. So it's not quite like that today because we don't wait so long. They had to wait. They waited months. Sometimes they waited years and years for that merchant ship to come in. And but it doesn't say she was a merchant ship. It just says she's like it because she comes back with lots of wonderful goodies.
She does.
That's the thing.
She
comes back with goodies for her family.
That's so wonderful.
And they're not goodies. Lots of just
like junk food.
No, chips and candy and junk food.
The very best.
Yes, the goodies that we're talking about are the best food. And so I believe, for speaking to us today, it's saying that when we go out to the grocery store, when we go to the supermarket, that we're going to come home with the very best for our family, because we have a heart for our family. We love our husband, we love our children, and we want to give them the best. We want to give them the best in everything. We want to give them the best home life, the best atmosphere, the best fun, the best joy, and the best food.
Yes,
because we all love food. We can't live without food. And our children are eating food all day long. Well, we don't want them to eat all day long. We will prepare 3 meals for them, and they will have some snacks too, because children often can't last between meals. And that's a big thing, because snacks, they can often be very unhealthy if we don't use wisdom, if we're not like a real merchant ship who brings home good things, the best things, the most amazing things.
Yes.
And so maybe we should start with snacks before we get on to other meals. What do you like to give your children for snacks?
One of my favorite things is I like to cut slices of what do you call it? Celery.
Yes, that's
Celery.
right.
And I put peanut and some nut butter on there.
Yes.
And a little protein with, and celery stabilizes your blood sugar.
Yes.
I don't know if you know
I
that. And then the
think
protein kind of, they bring with that good fat and that good protein in with the celery. It just makes a wonderful
It's absolutely
snack.
perfect. I think some of the best snacks for our children are just cut up carrots and celery
vegetables.
with some, peanut butter on it, and then some pieces of cheese. And what I used to love to do when my children were little, and every now and then they'd be starting to climb off the walls and just get irritable, and everyone's sort of getting, just not too good. So I would say, okay, children, let's have a surprise. I want you to go and hide behind the sofa. And so they'd all go and hide because they all love surprises. And so I would then just get out a little plate each, and I would just use those plain foods. I would use a little, cut up cheese, carrots, celery, and raisins and different things like that. And I'd make them into a smiley face.
Oh, that was fun.
Or a special different, shape. So that when they, and then I'd say, okay, come and see. And so they'd come and they'd see it, not just plonked on the little plate, but they'd see it all in a special shape. And they were so excited. I mean, I would do the same thing often over and over again, but they were still so excited, and it was healthy. And so they'd sit and have their little snacks, and then they'd be fine, to play for a while or whatever.
Well, that's wonderful.
Yes, and you're using healthy foods for them.
And you can even make healthy gummies.
Absolutely.
And you can order your food from afar just by ordering online.
Yes. But then, okay, today
if
we
you've
are
got special
blessed.
ingredients, you
Yeah.
can order them online from a special shop.
Yeah, well,
And
there's so many
they
co-ops
ship it.
today. Yes.
Yeah, and
with all the co-ops,
co-ops.
you can get the greatest food in bulk, and that's such a great way to buy your food because you save a lot of money by buying in bulk. It's always cheaper to buy in bulk. But getting back to the snacks, it does grieve my heart today to see children eating junk and
Like
chips
chips
and all this
lollipops.
stuff. Yes, and then they
chewing
drink
gum.
all this fizz and this pop.
What about the chewing gum?
Filled with sugar. Well, actually, forgive me, ladies, but that's one of my pet peeves. I've been doing a little book with one of my granddaughters. She was given this book about grandma, but I'm called Nana and granddaughter and all the little things. And one of the pages was to write down our pet peeves. Well, I was doing that on Saturday with her, and one of my pet peeves is chewing gum. I do not allow chewing gum in our home because I am tired of scraping it off the floor and all under chairs and under all these places.
Or in people's hair. My daughters used to get it in their hair, and they were little girls, and I didn't.
I know.
Just
Well,
had this.
I decided, okay, chewing gum is out in our home. Okay, other people may like to do it, and they're welcome to do it. But I decided in my home, I'm not having chewing gum. Now, sometimes my grandchildren will come in chewing, and I'll say, remember, at Nanny's house, we don't chew. Now, I have it because then I don't have any cleaning up, but that's not the only reason.
It's not? What about
No.
the Queen of England?
Yeah, well, that's another reason.
Oh.
I believe that we are royalty. If we are born again into the kingdom of God, we belong to a royal kingdom. God is King of kings, Lord of lords. His is the greatest kingdom. It's an everlasting kingdom, and we belong to that kingdom. And I believe that we should act as though we belong to God's kingdom, which is a royal kingdom. First Peter says you are a royal priesthood. And so I like to think, okay, I'm going to set that standard of royalty, not just for myself, but for my children. And I want to raise my children to be princes and princesses. And you don't see princesses going around chewing gum. And I have to, nor would you see the queen. And I have to say that it does, well, some people may be able to chew very discreetly, but I see so many young people, and they're talking to me, and I'm talking, and I can see the chewing gum in their mouth, and it's so vulgar and so ugly. And okay, if they want to do it, that's fine, but I don't want my children or my grandchildren doing it, because I think it's vulgar. Okay, forgive me, because you most probably love it, but that's what I think about chewing gum. So I don't use that as a special food, a little snack food. There's so many wonderful foods, and of course you can make lovely healthy snacks too, and have them available for your children.
Right.
I don't believe if you're bringing back from the supermarket, if you're bringing back foods with, just bringing back packets of chips and packaged foods. You haven't even read the labels. Oh my, you have to read the labels. Yes, someone came into my home the other day and said, look, I had these leftovers, I was moving house, you're welcome to them. And so I'm checking through some cider vinegar, that was lovely, some olives, oh that was lovely. Oh, and there was some tomato stuff, I just want to read the ingredients. Corn syrup solids. Okay, out. Out. Oh, goodness me. Read the ingredients, ladies. I check every ingredient, because corn syrup, if it's got corn syrup, throw. Don't buy it. In fact, when we adopted our children from Liberia, and that was 10, 12 years ago or more now, when they first came, it was so exciting for them to come to the supermarket and see all the food, and they would pick up things. Oh, Mum, can we get this? And I would teach them, I'd say, okay, read the ingredients. And they would know that if it said sugar, if it said corn syrup.
High fructose corn syrup.
Yes. And if it said yellow 5 and yellow 6,
Red
and all
Lake.
those, they're all cancer
Red and
forming.
Blue Lake.
And all these different things, well, okay, put it back, darling. We can't get that.
Or hydrogenated oils.
Oh, yes. Yes, it's all just poison and
It's
cancer
all-
forming.
yeah,
And
it's so
half
much-
the ingredients on most of the tinned food or packaged food is cancer forming, and it's junk, and it's not fit for human consumption. And if you are a mother who's bringing back for good things for your family, you won't be bringing any of that junk.
No.
You'll be reading the ingredients.
Absolutely. And the other thing is that God created our bodies to eat the food that He created.
Oh, yes.
So the more that you can make from home, from scratch.
Oh,
and on my blog, I teach
absolutely.
all recipes on there, mostly 100% from scratch. I even teach you how to make noodles or bread or anything the healthiest way possible, because really our bodies were created to eat natural foods, not all this processed stuff. And I love the difference that you feel from eating healthier and from getting ingredients that are natural, and your body can assimilate it, which I love.
I'm just trying to find that chapter I'm thinking about of, what is it? Oh, maybe it's over. And I just can't find it. It's the beautiful chapter of talking of how God is our shepherd and how He leads us to good pasture.
Well, that's Psalm 23.
Well, yes, but there is another chapter as well. Yes, it's a wonderful chapter, how He leads us onto these beautiful fold, and I'll bring you into a good fold, and I will give you good pasture and fat pasture, and in the food that God wants to give His sheep, and He was likening us to sheep, is good food.
It's so good
food. We've just, I just love my children and my grandchildren, even when they come in, I love them too much to
poison
just
them.
Yes, to poison them.
Why do we want to
Yes.
poison? It's called soft kill.
And I have a little granddaughter staying with me at the moment who's so beautiful. And actually, her naughty daddy, he loves to buy her treats. And so he will give her things. And often there's just sugar in them. And now she knows that Nanny says you can't eat that kind of food because you're so beautiful and I want to keep you so beautiful. So she'll have to come in hiding them.
Oh, she's got to hide them. Oh, that's so funny.
Yes.
But yeah, another thing I thought we could talk about is being frugal because you don't have to spend the top dollar to get.
You do not. In
No.
fact, if you are eating more simply with God's original food, how He created it, and you're not buying all these packaged foods, tin foods, junk, that just piles up the bill. I look at people filling their shopping carts, and I am just amazed. In fact, I don't even know where they get the money because I could not afford it. I cannot afford to buy all these packaged foods and all these, oh goodness me, they're all junk, but they cost so much more money. I'm going to get home and I'm going to make it from scratch from God's original food that He created. It's so much nicer and so much cheaper.
It really is so much better. I mean, and when you're in the grocery store, try to stick to the outer aisles. I've heard that advice.
Absolutely.
Because that's where they have the fresh produce and the fresh
I only go to the
dairy
produce
and the
cart.
fresh meats and fresh cheeses and all the freshest foods.
Usually, yes,
In the middle aisle, it's like package. Sometimes you need a few things, like maybe they'll have a spice that you need, or maybe they'll have an ingredient like that. Like in the middle of Aldi's, that's where I get my nuts.
Yes.
In the baking, because I get my walnuts and my pecans right there.
And there's certain places you get some good food. But mainly I just shop in the produce section, and most of my other foods I order online from co-ops. And
I'll order like a big bag, like 50-pound bag of rice, like brown rice, whole grain rice. Or I just bought a 50-pound bag of einkorn berries that I grind fresh for making breads.
Oh yes.
Or making
Where did you order them?
I think it was Jovial.
Oh yes.
And I think they get it right from Italy. So it's all non-GMO. They've never sprayed. It's virgin fields, and it's an ancient grain. So it's more expensive.
Yes.
That one is.
The ancient grains are, but I don't even buy, even organic wheat berries I don't even buy now because so many of them have been tampered with the way they're grown today. So I buy all my grains, from a co-op. I order a lot from Azure. And because I wouldn't think of just buying flour. Oh, goodness me. And I never use any grain without grinding it first and using it immediately straight away, because the moment you grind it, it's beginning to lose just some of the wonderful
it starts
nutrients.
to get rancid, actually.
Oh, absolutely. And as soon as I grind it, there's a little bit left over. I'll put that in the fridge, and so it's kept. But because I make my sourdough bread, which I make from rye berries, which I grind freshly, and kamut berries, which I grind freshly. I used to buy spelt, but that was a little more expensive than the kamut, so I get the kamut now. But I'm going to try some of your einkorn too.
Yes,
because that's good
actually,
stuff.
when you grind it, it almost looks like white flour.
Yes.
It's really interesting.
Yes.
But you have to always use 25% more than you would regular spelt flour or kamut flour.
Yes. And
so,
the thing
it's nice, and it has a texture more like a white pastry flour. It kind of makes you feel naughty, but it's way more healthier than all of the other grains.
Yes. And so can you imagine when you buy rice in bulk, 25-pound bag or 50-pound bag, instead of all those little packets? I mean,
because you'll spend.
so much.
I even have it in my book here. I do like a little price difference. Like here, for $1.98, you can get a packet of like Uncle Ben's rice. So it's 1 pound of it would be $3.96. And now if you had 50 pounds at that rate, you would be at $198. Now if you buy just 50 pounds of rice at some kind of a co-op, you'll pay $50.
Yes, just
which
think
is
of the
$1
saving.
a pound, and then you're paying $50 for 50 pounds instead of nearly $200. So you save $148 by buying your rice in bulk.
Yes, isn't that amazing? And so, lovely ladies, we are responsible. We are the managers of our homes. That's what it tells us in Timothy. Maybe we could just go over to that. And it's in 1 Timothy. Here it is, chapter 5, verse 14. I will therefore that the younger women marry, bear children, guide the house, give no occasion to the adversary to speak reproachfully. Now, it's pretty plain there. It tells us our lifestyle. When we get married, we bear children, we raise children, and we guide the house. Now that phrase, guide the house, in the Greek is oikos despoteo. Oikos is home. Despoteo is the verb for despotes. You can guess where that comes from. Despot. Ooh.
Despot, like desperate?
No, despot. Somebody who is, who rules it over you.
I never heard of that.
Oh, yes,
Oh,
yes. So the
a
word
despot.
actually means ruler, manager. So guide the
that's so
house in
good.
the Greek means to manage your home, to rule your home. Now, just a minute, because it's not saying, maybe you're thinking, oh wow, Nancy Campbell said I can just rule my husband. No, we don't do that. It doesn't talk about husbands there. It's talking about our home. We have the privilege to submit to our husband's leadership and covering and protection and authority. But God has given us a sphere to rule and manage. You see, we have that in us, don't we?
We do.
We have it. Now, when God said at the very beginning, the very first words that God ever said into the ears of man were, be fruitful, multiply, fill the earth. He didn't stop.
And take dominion.
And subdue. Yes, or subdue and take dominion. And so, because he spoke those words, there is something in us, not only in man, but in us that wants to have dominion over something. Now this is very important because we can't deny that it's there. But we have to get it in the context. You see, God planned that the woman would manage the home field. This is our domain. This is where we're queen. This is where we reign. We reign and rule and we manage. And so when we understand that and we know that our role, we have to rise up to that and manage it well and know that we don't have to go out and manage someone else's business or something because we're moving out of our divine mandate that God has given us.
Right.
But we have a mandate to rule, and it's our homes, to manage them well. And so food and how we're feeding our family is all part of our managing our food, getting, like the merchant ship, bringing home either from the supermarket, or if the supermarket doesn't have it there, because sometimes the supermarket doesn't have the foods that we want. So we've got to search for them, and we've got to maybe order them on the internet or get them from a co-op, or perhaps drive to get them somewhere, to get the best, to get the organic, to get or go and pick strawberries or pick something so we can get it in a cheaper way and get it in bigger amounts, especially if we have a bigger family. But I guess you do all this anyway, don't you?
I'm sure.
Yes. So we're just encouraging you in it. And if some of you are just starting off and it's all new to you, this is what you do. And it's so exciting, ladies.
It is.
Because being a homemaker. It's not some boring thing. There is so much to learn, and I have to confess that there's so much more for me to learn yet. I've hardly started, and here I've been married for 56 years, and you know, I can learn something every day. I can learn how to better manage my home, and how to get that food. Wow, I'd like to do that, and I find out about that. Where can I get that? And we're always interested in listening and trying to learn more how to better feed our families, so that we're feeding them the good stuff.
Yes.
We're bringing them to good pasture. We're creating a good fold with good pasture.
That's so good.
So we're not going to have any white junk in our home. Oh goodness me, of course, sugar. Oh, people come to my home and say, can I have some sugar? Sorry, I don't have it in my home. It's a poison. I mean, I don't have
it's like
white
rat poison.
sugar. Yes, in my home. I don't have white flour. I don't have white rice. I don't have white pasta. I don't have any of the devitalized junk. I just don't have it. Now, if you don't have it in your home, well then, people can't be tempted to eat it. Sometimes mothers say to me, but my children, they want to eat this and they want... Well, if you don't have it in your home, they can't eat it. And if you train them on healthy foods, that's what they'll enjoy.
Right, exactly. Now, I have something special that I wrote in my book about my grandmother. And I learned a lot from her example. There was this quote that she always said. She said, use it up, wear it out, make it do, or do without. Just like you said, just don't even have some of that stuff in your house. But,
say that
she
again.
meant
I like it.
Use it up, wear it out, make it do, or do without.
Yes.
So be content. And you know,
do you think that any modern housewives know how to embrace that today? I don't know. We haven't.
Mending socks.
That was how we used to live.
My grandmother used to mend the socks. It's not like if a sock got a hole in it, you just toss it in the trash. No. They would have socks for years and years because she would darn them.
I love darning. I used to darn all my socks. Yes.
And then, I know how to sew, so I would make my children's clothing, and I would also fix it when it broke.
Yes.
When the seams would pop open, I would just turn it inside out, stick it on the sewing machine. It would take me about 3 seconds to zip that little spot, or just hand stitch it. Just like relatively, like maybe less than 5-minute job by the time you put it on the sewing machine until the time it's fixed. And then you're saving all that money, because if you don't know how to fix it and you don't know how to hand sew or whatever, you just toss it or give it to the Goodwill or just throw it in the junk or burn it or whatever. But my grandmother taught me a different way. She always made things and saved everything.
Yeah.
She saved her plastic baggies. Instead of buying all new, she would wash them in her dishwater and then hang them upside down so she could use them for another purpose instead of buying. Do you do that too?
I save all my Ziplocs. I wash them because I, preserve my. Usually I grow about 100 plus tomato plants a year, and I use a lot of tomato, puree in my soups and casseroles during the winter. So I love to have loads to do that, and I fill the freezer in the plastic Ziplocs and other things, and so really they're not dirty. They've just had some food, so I rinse them straight away, and then I'll wash them in some hot water and I hang them out on the deck. I've got some little things popping up, and so I hang them over them so they dry nicely, and I use them again. I'm one of those savers because I guess I'm a little older and I still have the mentality that you use it up and you make do and you don't waste, and so I, save even my plastic bags and reuse them.
I do that too.
I have to confess, I am not in a position to just go out and buy all the time. I do have to be frugal. I don't just go out and buy anything because that's the way we live. Even in our ministry of Above Rubies, which I've been doing for over 41 years, we don't take from the ministry to live. Every donation that comes in, we give to print the next magazine. Even the books I write, every book, all the money goes to Above Rubies to help us print another issue. And so we just trust God. So I like to keep frugal. And I'm amazed. I can't believe the way so many, well, not only young people, but even adults will come, they take food onto their plate, they take piles of food, and then they pick out it a little bit, and then they leave
just throw it away. Oh, that makes me so mad.
I don't know what to do. I think, excuse me, you may have a lot more money than me, but I don't waste food. Well, I've got to waste theirs now they've picked it and throw it out. And
well,
it's
nobody
so
can eat it after they
you can't
at
have
it.
that. And so, but I like to, in our home, if people, I say, well, in fact, especially when we have big gatherings and all the children are there and all this food and this lamb and turkey and there's everything and all this so much and they just want to take all their food because their eyes are bigger than their stomach, I will give little Nanny's lecture every time. Now, children, there's lots of food here, but I want you to take just what you can eat, and then when you've eaten it, you can come back for more. But I don't want you to leave any on your plate because we don't want to waste. Well, I give my little lecture, and then when I go round to clean up all the plates, I see beautiful bits of lamb on a plate. Oh, help! And then pieces of chicken, and they've taken it and just left it. And even on adults' plates. Now look, that is not really it's not even using wisdom. Let's think. Food is not to be just taken and thrown away.
No.
And so I believe we should take only what we feel we can eat it, and then, of course, if there's plenty there's always able to have a second helping. But I hate to see food left, and I train my children, if they didn't eat it, they had it at the next meal.
That's
we
what I
did
did
not throw it
too.
away. If they just had to learn to take what they wanted, and if they didn't eat it all, well, they ate it the next meal.
Well, this is
meal.
a perfect time to talk about my biggest pet peeve.
Okay.
Well, I can't stand it when people train their children. Okay, it's not the child's fault. It's the parents' fault to train their children to be picky eaters.
Oh, yes,
It's just the pits.
Yes.
You have them over and then I just stare at them just thinking, like I can't believe my eyes that a mother is actually allowing their child to order them around and tell them what they like and what they don't like. Oh, I don't want that. Like they'll have their plate like this, and I've seen it a dozen times. I don't know how many women nowadays, this is how they train their kids.
I can't believe it.
I don't like you. And they go, that's how they, and then they're like,
excuse me, you will eat it.
and then they'll go, I don't like it. And then the mom will put it back. Well, that's very rude. Miss Erin provided that food. No, I don't like it. And they go like this for like 15 minutes. It interrupts the whole meal. And I can't believe that somebody allows that to go on in the first place. I always told my children there was a time for everything. Okay, children, it's time to eat. I never said, by the way, I'm your waiter. I'm here to serve you. And what would you like to eat?
I know.
You want pancakes? Okay, I'll put pancakes down for you. What would you like? Oh, I would like scrambled eggs and bacon. Okay, scrambled eggs and bacon for you. And this one says, I'm not hungry right now. I would rather wait a little while to eat. And when I'm hungry, I probably want a Pop-Tart. Okay, Pop-Tart for this one. I'll put that on a plate and you can have that when you want it. Now, many of you that are watching this, do this. Stop. Just don't do it anymore because you're teaching them to be self-centered. Their life is all about them. Think long-term. When you're a mother, think long-term. I'm trying to teach you as a mother, an older woman in the Lord that's raised children. It causes stress for you. It brings your whole house, turns it upside down, and puts the child in the place of authority instead of you.
Absolutely.
And it's just, it's despicable, actually. You can't go to somebody's house and have your child behaving like that. How embarrassing for you.
Yes, they're not trained to go to anyone else's place.
And then there's children all over the world that are starving to death. And then here your child just doesn't like you. I don't like that. Or they'll like spit it up and just make such a scene. And I just stare at them just in disbelief. And I try to hold my tongue because I think, oh, they're probably going to be so upset with me if I say anything because this is their precious child. I know it's a precious child, but that same child can be just as precious and lovely, and even more so, more precious and lovely if they're grateful. Right. And you teach them to be thankful. So when you say, when you get up in the morning, rather than saying, what would you like to eat? Oh, rather say, this is what we're having.
Yes, absolutely.
It's time to eat.
Yes.
This is what we're having.
And you're positive about it,
yes.
isn't it? Isn't this going to be scrumptious?
Yes, I'm so excited. This is what we're having. We're having eggs and bacon this morning. This is what we're having. And then you give them, or we're having oatmeal this morning. This is what we're having, and it's time to eat.
Absolutely, and this is how it's done, ladies. No exceptions. We can't, I mean, you're not being a mother, you're not managing your home, you're being a slave.
A slave!
And
who wants
God
to be a slave?
Did not say you are to be a slave in your home. You're to be a queen in your home, managing your home, training your children to do what is right in society. And we are training our children for marriage. That's the best marriage seminar your children will ever have, is how you train them, the lifestyle you train them, and also how they see your marriage. But if you have children who are just allowed to eat what they want, when they want, and have their own just preference.
What kind of a person is that going to be when they grow up?
Absolutely. I mean, how can
what
you
kind
even
of a person is that going to be?
How can they manage?
I don't want to be their friend. Do you want to be their friend when they're older, when they act so self-centered and ungrateful and that everybody serves them? What kind of person is that? That's not the kind of person I want to be around. I want to be around people that are lovely people, that are kind, and they think about other people, and you're courteous to the other person. That's what we want.
Absolutely. Well,
that's what you want your children to be like.
Yes.
I guarantee you that that's what you want.
Yes.
So don't let them run you and control you. You're the woman, the Proverbs 31 woman. I know you are, and you can do it.
Absolutely.
And just one day at a time. Might be a little hard at first. I had some guests over the weekend, and the little girl, she was 3 years old, and I talked with the mother a lot because I noticed a lot of things. The little girl was in charge of her, and she would tell her mommy she enjoyed seeing her mommy get up off of the chair. She said, "Get up." And she was only 3, and the mother would get up and she'd be leaning on something. And I said, "I beg your pardon?" I did a Nancy Campbell. I said, "I beg your pardon?"
Yes.
And I said, "What? She just tells you to get off the chair?" She says, "Yeah, she just, she wants to have the chair." And I said, "Really?" And she sits in the chair and she goes, "And what is she learning?" And I said, "No." And I looked at the little girl and I said, "Not in my house." I said, this is my house, my rules. So what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to let your mommy sit there." And she goes, "No." And she threw a fit and started screaming in the other room.
That poor woman. If her child is doing that at 3, what does she do at 13? I can't even imagine. I mean,
Can you imagine?
I can't even imagine.
But I asked her these questions. I did ask her these same questions. What kind of a person? You're such a lovely mother, and you're thinking about your children. You're putting them first. What kind of mother will they be? Will they be able to do the same? Did you lead by example? Did you teach them to be a mother by your example? Or did you teach them to be, if they're so self-centered and they're all about themselves, will they even be able to have the capacity to think about their children someday and put them first just like you do? And she said, oh, you're right. And I said, it's not hard. It just takes consistency.
Yes. It's actually the difference between easy parenting and earnest parenting, because easy parenting just kind of gives in to your child and just lets them have what they want and so on. But it may seem easy at the time because you're just getting on with other things and yes, and just let them do it. But down the road you reap, because we reap what we sow. Earnest parenting is parenting not just for the moment, for the training, what we see in the future, what we're training our children for. What are we training them to be? What do we want them to be like? What do we want their marriage to be like? And so this is how we're training them at 3 years old.
Before that,
of course.
Well, I used to have mine when they were only like 1 year old. I did most of my training before they were 3. By the time they were 3, they were just they just were such a welcome, beautiful part of the family. It was family parenting rather than child-centered parenting.
Exactly. See, that's the thing. In a family, God intends us, lovely ladies, to live as families. In Psalm 65 it says, He sets the solitary in families. He doesn't want us to live self-centeredly on our own. He wants everyone, even the one who's on their own, He wants them to come into a family, because as a family we learn how to live. We don't live unto ourselves.
Right.
We live a togetherness, working in with one another. And so when we have meal times, we have them together. We sit at the table together. We don't have one person sitting in front of the TV, one in the bedroom, one eating when they like. No, never, never, never. We eat at the same time. We're a family. We surround the table. We're a family. We talk and discuss together as a family. And we train our children how to fit in with the family schedule that we make, not the children.
Exactly.
I mean,
there's
what
so
does it
much
say?
peace and
We
joy.
are to rule and manage our home. It does not say, and as your children come along, just allow them to rule and manage you. No, that is not what it says. It's the opposite. So,
well, I think this was a good episode because I think there's a lot of people out there that are just frazzled and stressed. And if I have met, a lot of women that I've met live in chaos with their children, and they're feeding them junk. No wonder why they're acting chaotic.
yes.
And their children have trained them to just cater to them. Of course children want to do whatever they want to do. So if there's, like most of the women that I meet are like this, then that means that a lot of you that are watching are in the same boat. So I felt it was really important to discuss this today, and I'm glad that I could get your input too. But it's just coming off of that weekend, I felt so good about it because I was able to encourage this young mother, and she was so thankful. She didn't take it personally. I said, I love you. I care about you, and I want your daughter to be the very best person that she can be. And one day you'll be thankful. And she says, yeah, there's a lot of things I need to work on. She said, I think, and if you do it in love, and because we love all of you too, it's for the very best. Like the woman, she travels far for the very best.
Yes.
So everything in this verse applies to us.
Oh,
so we want the very best for our children. And that means training them, feeding them healthy, giving them some structure in their life, and having a well-ordered home.
So every time you go out to get your food and other things, just think of yourself as the merchant ship that comes in with all those good things. Things that are going to bless your children. Not all the baddies, all the junk and that which is just poison to them. And another thing, your children shouldn't expect you to buy them something personally every time you go out. I don't believe, and I think some mothers get into the habit that every time they go out, if their children are with them, they see things.
Oh, they have to have something.
Oh, Mum, can I have that?
Oh.
And if you say no, they throw a fit.
They throw a fit.
No, you just train them before you go, that if they're going with you, they dare not ask for anything, because we cannot get our children into the habit of thinking every time we go out, they get something. Or if they have to stay home because Mummy's going, oh, I'll bring you a treat because I'm going out. No, you don't bring a treat every time you go out. Now, there will be on special occasions, of course, and surprises.
Yes.
But just the entitlement that I should have a treat every time I go out, or if the mother goes out and comes home. No, we cannot train them into an entitlement mentality, which so much of our nation has today.
Yes.
Like today, what is happening? We have Bernie Sanders now running for president, and all these thousands of young people just swooning over him because he said, I'm going to give you everything free, and college free, and homes free, and everything.
Where's the money coming from?
Nobody even stops to think. Where does that money come from? Well, we know it would bankrupt the nation, and we would just become another communist, bankrupted, poverty nation. I mean, but it's all because they have an entitlement mentality that I should have everything given to me for free.
Yeah.
No, we don't train our children like that.
It starts when they're in the cradle and when they're growing up in your home. If you cater to them now, they're going to want to be catered to later, and they're going to feel entitled. And if something doesn't go right for them, the other bad thing is to give your children a complex like of the victim. They're the victim mentality. Like, you poor thing. And I've met women like that do that with their children, and they just can't handle any disappointments. But in the world, there's always going to be disappointments. They can't handle any disappointments, and it always has to be fair. And we have to make sure that if we do something nice for one child, we can't just do something special for one and then do something special for another one another time. When it comes to our heart, no, we just don't even do it, because we'd have to buy a special thing for every one of our children, because otherwise it wouldn't be fair.
Oh, yes. And anyway,
But when I was, you were saying, that's exactly what I did. It was the most amazing, freeing thing.
Yes.
When I would go to town with my little children, I'd always say, little children, I'm so excited, we're going to town today, and it's going to be so amazing. But guess what? I have some special, very fun instructions. And then they would say, what? I'd say, we're not going to ask for anything. And I'm not going to buy you anything. We're just going to go to the store, and we're going to get the groceries that we need for our family. And we're so thankful that God provided the money that we could go, and your daddy works hard all day long. And we get to go get the food that we need so we can make all kinds of healthy meals. So when we go to the store, we have to be quiet. We have to be on our best behavior. Otherwise, guess what? And they'll say, what? I'll say, we'll have to leave. We'll have to leave. So I only left one time. I thought, training.
yes.
I didn't even need groceries that day. I thought, I'm just doing this for fun training. So we go to the grocery store, I give them that warning, we go in there, and just asked one time, they said, Mom, can we get this? Oh, I said, oh no. Guess what? And they'd say, what? You broke the rule. No, we have to leave. We can't buy anything. And they'd be like, oh no. I said, we'll have to put these few things back, and now we'll have to leave, and we'll have to come another day. And then they never did that again. They never asked again. Isn't that nice?
Yeah, makes mothering
easy.
so much
You just go to the store.
easier,
There's
doesn't it?
times I go to Aldi's and they've got these children jumping around on the cart all over the place and screaming and yelling and running down the halls and throwing stuff at their mom and then laying on the floor and screaming, and I think, that lady, she's gonna feel like she went through a war after she gets home.
I know, don't make mothering hard for yourselves. Make it easy. Let's pray.
Yes.
Lord, we thank you. Once again, we can talk about these practical things of training our children, managing our homes, and providing good food for our families. Wholesome food. Food that is going to bless them and make them grow strong and sturdy. And we just thank you for your wonderful provision for us. And give us wisdom. Teach us, Lord God, how to manage our food, how to get the best deals, and where to get them. And we ask that you will teach us all more and more in these things which are part of our great role of mothering. In Jesus' name.
Amen. And thank you all for joining us, and we pray that you have the most amazing week. And come and join us next time. God bless.
Bless.
Bye-bye.